Biodynamic grape growing is, I guess, it's a technique of organic, but it's a little bit more complex than just simple organic growing, in the sense that yes, we don't use any chemicals, and we use natural manure-based fertilisers for the vineyard. But I guess the difference between organic and biodynamic is that we use the lunar process, or the lunar calendar, for the timing of a lot of our operations in the vineyard, and we really have a big focus on the soil health. Rudolf Steiner was a philosopher from the early 1915, 1920s, and he was asked by farmers of the time that were experiencing the beginning of the agricultural revolution. They were sort of wondering why, after a big flourish or a big increase in their productiveness on their land, they were worrying why things were starting to decline, even though they were still using the artificial fertilisers that they began to use. And Steiner basically said, look, you need to get back into focusing on the soil. So he sort of basically took a step back and I guess recommended some techniques that were really farming techniques from the 13th century. So there's a big focus on soil health, and we use composts and natural teas, and also the lunar calendar is very important from a timing of operations in the vineyard. We pick on what we call fruit days, which we believe is when the plant is at its optimum from a flavour point of view, and I think it makes a big difference to the wine. I think biodynamics is very strong in France and Europe. In Australia, we were the first to be certified by an external body, which runs to a standard. We were the first in South Australia to be certified biodynamic, and I think now there's only 5 or 6 vineyards that are certified BD in this state. And nationally, I think there's probably only a dozen. So I think we're certainly early adopters of this, and I think as time goes on, there'll be more people that are becoming interested in this technique. For us, biodynamic is great because it means that we actually grow what we believe is the best possible fruit that we can make on this site. Once you start to push a vineyard with artificial fertilisers and chemicals and things, you change the way that the vine grows and the way that it ripens the fruit, and it's obviously not ripening in a very natural way as to how that plant originally is in its natural state. So I guess we're seeing our grapes are usually ripening earlier, mainly because our yields are less. We're cropping at around about sort of 6 tonnes to the hectare would be probably our maximum, whereas other sort of conventional vineyards in our region are sort of cropping around about 8 to 10 tonnes per hectare. And I guess like the true benefit is, I guess, concentration of fruit. Our grapes have thicker skins than other sort of grapes that have been pushed, or vineyards that have been pushed. So most of the flavour in red wine is actually in the skin. So we think that this is basically the thicker skins is where we're getting our increase in flavour and intensity. We run our whole property biodynamically, so I have sheep as well, so they're all farmed with the whole BD process, and the red and white grapes are also farmed this way. We started to practice the biodynamic technique in 1998, and then we were fully certified by 2008. The certification process takes 4 years from when you begin it, so it's quite a long time to wait until you become certified and have the stamp of approval. But I guess for us, we were early adopters because it was offering us something which is true to our belief. We have a very holistic sustainability view on how we farm generally, and our actions, we think, are best. We want to try to preserve where we are here, and we try to leave it in a better place than what it was when we found it, or when we first started planting. Probably Probably the challenge here is, the coastal environment is fantastic because it moderates the temperature a lot. So we have a very cool sort of even ripening period, but we also have a lot of wind, and the wind can sometimes make the vine struggle a lot. The wind is very good for helping to keep the fungus that can attack vineyards or grapes. Lots of air circulation is beneficial because it keeps the humidity down. So there's always a benefit from something negative and vice versa, we find. It's just the way things are here.